The golden structure was majestic. One couldn't even gauge its depth. The brick-red fortifications looked majestic and strong, protecting the castle with all their might. These walls were more than 10 meters tall, and they stretched across the width of the castle and had bright golden and caustic tiles on top. Jacob had to crane his neck to see the extent of the fortifications, but they towered so high they seemed to have no end. Thousands of soldiers wearing golden armors were patrolling along the fortifications, and they looked like little gold dots from afar. "Welcome back, Dragon King!" shouted the soldiers, creating an uproar in the ocean and causing the palace walls to echo their voice. Drakon stepped inside the castle with a regal strut. Jacob was intimidated by the huge monument in front of him and hundreds of people present just to welcome them. He hadn't expected the palace to be underwater, and certainly didn't know it would be so grand and royal. He didn't reveal his nervousness on his face, though, because he kept chanting in his mind, "You're the Dragon King's son-in-law. You cannot look weak." Drakon waved at his audience like a king and walked into the palace with Jacob. The elders followed them in, followed by the soldiers. The officers bowed again and continued with their patrolling duties along the fortifications. Before walking in, Jacob noticed how the palace was divided into various sections and separate palaces beyond the fortifications. There were generals and soldiers in different uniforms patrolling each section. A humpbacked, short, elderly man in a gray robe walked over to them hastily. "Forgive me, Dragon King, for not welcoming you at the gate. I had no idea that you were coming." Drakon lifted his finger at the point where the old man... He transmitted his energy to him, and the man got up with much ease. "Anything new, General Arthur?" asked Drakon as he started to walk ahead. General Arthur walked right beside Drakon and said, "My king, it's been pretty peaceful at the palace in the past month. We're being duly governed by the elders and—" "Get to the point, General," Drakon said impatiently. "Of course," General Arthur nodded. "I have notified all the matters of importance to Elder Frank and Elder Liam for you to go over. As for the trivial things, the elders here in the palace and I have already taken care of them. I have stored the 36 ripe 1,000-year crimson fruits sent from the South Arctic in the Ice Palace. We've delivered 6 pearls of the highest grade as a gift to the North Pacific's 6th princess at her wedding. Since South Atlantic's Dragon King's nephew is having some trouble with cultivation, they borrowed the green grade technique, 7 hearts, and spirit scroll from us. After discussing it with several elders, we decided to lend it to them for 1 month. They will probably return it with some gifts by then." Drakon listened to General Arthur's report and hummed from time to time. He seemed at ease. On the other hand, his general spoke timidly, as he didn't want to say anything wrong or out of line. Drakon was intimidating even normally, with his quiet and calm personality, but today was the first time Jacob had actually seen him as a king. He was the king of the Dragon Clan and had the control of over 30 million ocean creatures in their region. Any one of his decisions would be able to turn the ocean around. "Is Elder Kenneth's altar ready?" asked Drakon. "We have finished 78 working procedures, and the altar can generate 6 large array formations and 32 small array formations. It should be done in about another 10 days. The Third Lord is extremely powerful, and no one in the human realm can defeat him. He can certainly go through the heavenly tribulation successfully next month and level up to a heavenly dragon," General Arthur said with a hint of pride. Jacob, who was walking beside Drakon, figured that they were talking about Sophie's third uncle, Kenneth. Although he knew that Kenneth was powerful, he never had a clear idea about the extent of his strength. The "undefeatable in the human realm" remark demonstrated how terrifying his strength must be. Drakon had continued walking along with Jacob and the general all through their conversation. As they reached another section of the palace, Drakon turned around and said, "Elders, please head back to get some rest." "That!" General Arthur pointed at Jacob sheepishly, as if he was trying to say something but didn't dare to in the presence of his king. "Oh." Drakon understood what he was trying to say and explained, "This is my Soph's future husband, the Prince Consort Jacob." "Long live Prince Consort Jacob!" More than 80 elders bowed as they greeted Jacob. Jacob felt extremely flattered by this greeting. He didn't know how he was supposed to respond to the greeting, so he simply smiled at the elders. "The palace is protected by the array formations, Jacob. Surely you must have noticed there is no water inside the palace, and it is so because of these formations." Drakon began explaining to Jacob. He smiled at Drakon, but did not get the hint. "You can take out the water bead from your mouth now. There is no need for it." Drakon smiled back at him. As soon as Drakon said that, Jacob spat the bead out. He was a bit embarrassed, as he had had that bead inside his mouth all this while. But he couldn't help it. He was astonished at everything he saw while following Drakon. On top of that, General Arthur's reports amazed him as well. He needed time to recover from all the surprises. General Arthur took out a silk handkerchief and wrapped Jacob's water-repellent bead up before handing it back to him. Jacob understood that he wanted to impress the future prince, but thanked him nonetheless. "You can show Jacob around, General Arthur. It's his first time here, and he's not familiar with the place yet. Explain to him patiently if he has any questions," Drakon said. "As you wish, my king." General Arthur bowed. He immediately left with Jacob to show him around. Drakon stayed inside the palace to deal with matters that hadn't been reported to him on land. Just like what General Arthur said, important issues would be delivered to Drakon by Elder Liam and Elder Frank, and the trivial things, which didn't need his immediate attention, were kept inside the Dragon Palace for the elders and himself to work on. However, those that were in the gray area, neither important nor trivial, were left aside for Drakon to go over on his visit. Jacob and General Arthur walked out of the main palace together. "Sir, let me show you around, since this is your first time at the Dragon Palace," General Arthur said to Jacob, as he humbly stood half a meter behind him. "Thank you, General Arthur," Jacob said, bowing to him as he had done before in front of Drakon. General Arthur was glad that this prince, whom he had heard of but never met, was so easy to get along with. Even his hunched back straightened a little. He led Jacob to the backside of the main palace and said in a loud voice, "This way, sir. Right in front of you is the 100-flower palace. There are precious fruits from over hundreds, even thousands of years here, and they are all great for creating elixirs. I can show you around, but please make sure you don't touch anything, because some of it is toxic. I would be in huge trouble if anything were to happen to you. Up ahead is the Mystic Creature Palace. We keep some bizarre creatures in there. The gods treasure all living beings, and so we, at the Dragon Palace, don't take their lives. Due to the lack of nature essence in this realm, there isn't enough living space for them on the land. And so, we've established this place for them to live in." General Arthur showed the palace to Jacob with a lot of enthusiasm. Jacob listened to the amazing stories as he followed General Arthur. He suddenly thought to himself, would there be an imperial harem in such a majestic palace for Drakon? General Arthur immediately turned around to look at Jacob and raised his right eyebrow. "Oh, it's just pure curiosity." Jacob found an excuse for his weird thoughts and hastily caught up with General Arthur.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.